back to the Piney Woods homestead, y'all. Y'all, it has been hot and sultry since May here in central North Carolina, down here in the south. And it's been tough on gardening. We've had to do a lot of watering and things like that, but y'all, we've been fortunate. We got a blessing of about 1.5 inches of rain over the past couple of days. And so everything is starting to thrive finally. This is a second bed of Blue Lake green beans that Lisa had planted, and we're just now getting the first picking off of them. And this bed is smaller than the big bed that we use, but we alternate plantings and we do succession plantings. That way we've always got beans coming on while we can grow them. So I'm gonna get some beans picked, and I'm gonna take you around and show you a few things in the garden that are good and a few things that are bad. Y'all, thanks for stopping in. Hit that old like for us. If you've subscribed, y'all, we appreciate you. We tell you that every time because we mean it. Let's get on to a few chores here, a little bit of bean picking. Y'all, what I like about these deep raised beds versus the in-ground garden is the height of them, the working height. It is easy to work with these deep raised beds. And this one here, you can reach right to the middle because it's only 4 feet by 8 feet. It works out really good. And y'all, that's what we're looking for. A nice big bean about 6 inches or so long. It's good for canning. And what we have done in the past, I'll pick a sacrificial bean just to show you, is you can pick them small like this. And that is maybe 3 inches. It's just a young bean. But if you want to blanch and freeze and then skillet fry these beans with some garlic and some bacon, y'all, that's an excellent size to be picking for that. We just do mostly canning now. We still do this a little bit, but we can put up more food when we get them bigger and can them. Y'all, another benefit to the raised beds when it comes to doing your beans is you'll notice how lush and full this is. We plant these beans on basically a 6-inch spacing. And y'all, it looks like no pollinator will be able to get in here, but the bumblebees and the honeybees and even the wasp, they get all through this. And another advantage to planting it thick in here like this is when you do water or get rain, the canopy keeps good moisture content down in your soil. And so it helps you have to water less. But y'all, this is how we can get basically, if this were planted in the in-ground garden, it would be a 60-foot row of green beans in a raised bed. Y'all, I'll knock out the rest of this raised bed real quick and we'll move on to something else. I'll show you some more good things in the garden, in ground and up here in the raised beds. And I'll show you some bad things. All right, y'all, got that little bed knocked out. Not that many beans, but there's enough for a couple of meals if we wanted to eat fresh. You know, it just takes a little bit longer to cook them. But it was a little bit early to pick this bed, but I wanted to get those big ones out because these bean plants are loaded with beans and more blooms are setting. So we'll let those go for probably, well, depending on the weather, 1.5 weeks, probably 2 weeks. And we'll have a big picking off of them. And I'll get some more out of the garden down here in a little while. But let me take you around and show you some good things and some not so good things. So let me show you some more good stuff here in the raised beds. I'll come under this archway and you'll be able to see here cantaloupes, personal size cantaloupes. I forget what this seed variety was called, but we trellised it over this cattle panel. And Lisa has, I don't know, probably a dozen or so of these in here that are coming on. And y'all, they've reached full size. We're just waiting on things to ripen. and we will cut up and freeze whatever we don't eat fresh on that. She's already got her onions out of her beds. Got 3 racks of them in her shop there. So the onions have done well. Let's see what else has done good. These October beans, y'all. We've never grown them. Let's see if I can find a good one. Well, they're all good. If you can see that, that's a shelling bean. And Lisa's gonna shell them and can them. And there's quite a few in here, so it's just a different variety, y'all. We eat a lot of beans, and it's good to have a different variety of things like that so you're not getting totally bored on what you're eating. We plant a lot of green beans. We plant a lot of stuff that's easy to grow, easy to harvest, easy to put up. Now, let's walk over here, and we will see acorn squash. See if I can get down in here. Hopefully you can see those. On those plants, there's 6 plants in this 4x8 bed, and every single plant has probably 2 or 3 squash on it, so they look really good. Now let's see what else is in here. We've got red burgundy okra in the background. It's actually starting to put on a few pods. We've got this volunteer pumpkin that came up on the back side of the compost pile, and y'all, it's pretty interesting. We've noticed that when stuff volunteers, we've never had to spray it. It's like the bugs don't care. I don't know what that is. No clue. Let's see. We have more patty pan squash going. Some that we had started a little bit later, direct sowed. And we've even got a potato plant growing in there, y'all. We missed a potato. You always miss something when you're digging. So I said, just leave it. Let it grow. That's fine. All right. These Blue Lakes. Replanted those right after we pulled up and harvested. The only thing is, y'all, as soon as we got them planted, we had like a hard 1/10 of an inch of rain. I mean, it was like nothing, but it came down in buckets for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I think it just put the seed a little bit too deep down in the ground. So I may end up pulling those. I'm not sure. It's about 50% filled in, and I hate to start over, y'all, but we're counting on that bed because we get a lot of beans off of it. We've already put, I think, Lisa, if we watched the video back several weeks ago, we'd already put up, I think, 30 some quarts off of that bed. All right, so everything up here looks pretty good. And this right here is Star of David okra. I told Lisa the other day, I said, when are we gonna pick that King David okra? She said, that's not what it's called, but she said, I like it, but it's not what it's called. So actually, I believe they are ready today. We're going to go ahead and pick some of those, bread them up, vacuum seal them, fry them. Because I know I talk about fried a lot. I say we don't fry much stuff, but we do fry squash. That's my favorite way to have them. And you can pull them out. You don't have to bread them and fry them. We do a lot of sauteing with them too. Y'all, these Charleston Gray pumpkins, I don't even know how many's in there right now. But y'all, we've got some pumpkins. I said pumpkins. These Charleston Gray watermelons. Watermelons, Matthew. They're coming on, and there's a bunch of them in this patch. There's 9 plants. It's filled this entire area in really well. And there's some large ones growing up in here. I don't know if you can see them. But y'all, Charleston Grays are fairly simple to grow. It's an old variety. One of my grandfathers on my mama's side, he planted them every single year. And y'all, we used to love eating those things, but they're easy to grow. They're packed full of flavor. There's a ton of seeds. You don't mind spitting seeds, you can have fun with that too. And you can save those seeds and replant them every year because it's an heirloom. Now I'm gonna take you down to the in-ground garden. We'll take a look at a couple of things that really aren't so good. Y'all, I believe I mentioned we finally had some rain, you know. We had 1.5 inches of rain over the course of a couple of days. It came down fast and hard too. So some of it was runoff, but a lot of it hung around. And we had a couple of bad results. I'll say bad results. We just had a couple of bad things happen due to the heavy downpour. One corner of the Golden Friars chicken hut got a little bit too damp. It came down so hard, and I had not pulled down the curtain on the side that they've been huddling up and sleeping in at night. And a couple of them got wet and got smothered. So we lost 2. We were able to pull 2 out that needed to get dried off good, and we put them back in the brooder under the heat lamp, and they've been there for a couple of days. I don't know if you can hear the pigs going crazy. Y'all, that farrowing area, that's a sacrificial area. It gets muddy when we get that much rain at one time. So there's a lot of mud in there right now. We've opened up the other side of that farrowing area because, you know, it's in two parts. We keep it to where we've got a narrow gate that the piglets don't mind going through, but Rosie, she won't go on that other side. She'll stick to the high ground, even though there's a lot of water and swampy mess around her. She'll lay up on the high ground. But y'all, she's trying to kick them pigs off now. Those pigs are getting big. They're a whole lot bigger than our last litter at this age. They're only a month old, and y'all, they're looking about 2 months old. So she's starting with that natural weaning process now. They're eating hog feed. They're cracking whole kernel corn, y'all. We're creep feeding them inside the little farrowing barn, as well as on the other side that they go into now as well. Nice dry area. So everybody out there looks like a Duroc right now because they're covered in mud, but that'll dry up fairly quick, and it won't be long, y'all. We'll be weaning these pigs. Weaned is 8 weeks, but I think these are gonna go a little bit earlier. Let's go in the garden. Y'all, all the squealing and the grunting going on up there at the hogs, that is Rosie. She will grunt and knock them babies out of the way. She'll let them drink for a few minutes, then she kicks them off, and they'll chase her around to follow her trying to get more milk. And it sounds like they're just fighting tooth and nail up there, but that's part of it, y'all. I sat up there and watched them this morning because I told Lisa, I said, the best way to learn about animals is to watch them. And so I kicked back and watched them for about 30 minutes after we fed them. And Rosie, she got fairly aggressive with those pigs. I mean, she'd boot them out of the way with her head, knock them 4 or 5 feet, because she's trying to get them more dependent on feed versus her milk. All right, so you already know the corn is pretty much a disaster. When we finally did get some rain, it was 50-mile-an-hour winds, and I think it was maybe a 1/4 inch of rain, 1/2 inch at the most. And y'all, it laid that corn flat over. Now, it did stand back up about 3/4 of the way. But when we had these storms come through the other night, y'all, same deal. High winds, quick downpours, and it just knocked it down again. But fortunately, some of it had already tasseled. Some of it had already almost fully formed inside of the husk. And so Lisa came out here yesterday, pulled what she could. It was nubbins, y'all. I cut off enough for probably 2 meals, sides, and then she took those corn cobs, boiled them down, and she made corn cob jelly and canned that. So we recouped our investment, but y'all, that's about it. But I'm excited about the corn cob jelly and a couple of fresh sides off of it. But hey, there's always next year, right? All right, over here at the beans, the green beans, Blue Lake green beans, y'all, are about played out. It's time to come in here and do a final picking. We've got one rabbit that keeps coming in here, and I've let him because it's near the end of their life cycle anyways, these beans. And so we'll go ahead and pull those up here in a couple of days, get the rest of the beans off of them. We'll pull that corn up, give those stalks, split it between the hogs. They love eating fresh corn stalks. And let's see. And then I'm going to till it as soon as it dries out just a little. Shouldn't take long. And we're going to plant a whole bunch of October beans and another succession planting of green beans in here. But I'm seeing there's quite a few beans in here I need to get, so I'll pick those while I'm down here. But looking over here, butter beans coming on good, y'all. And this rain was perfect because we've got a bunch of seed pods or bean pods that need to be filling out, and this rain is going to help them do that. And now there's 2 nice 50-foot rows of butter beans here. That should put up several pint jars. That's the plan, and we love those things. They're a pain in the rear to shell, but they're really good. All right, I've already taken you through the peppers and the tomatoes the other day when we did the whole drought watering video. So I'm not going to take you up there again, but y'all, the corn was pretty much a flop this year. Even the one that normally does well that we plant up at the neighbors. But y'all, it was just extreme drought. Summertime came in May this year, And unless you have irrigation where you can irrigate your crop, it's not always gonna make it. And corn is one of those. Everything else, we were able to water by hand and it did well. Y'all, kind of a short video, but I just wanted to give you an update on how things are looking around here. We'll come back in a few days when the weather's right, y'all. It's miserable out here, so we try to get our work done early in the mornings and late in the evenings. But we'll get out here and we'll hopefully do some fun things again. But y'all, thanks for sticking with us. Hit that old like for us, subscribe if you hadn't, and if you have, y'all, we appreciate you. I'm gonna get the rest of these beans picked. I'm gonna go up to the house, probably take a cold shower, and then snap some beans. Lisa said we'd go ahead and probably blanch and freeze those ones I picked today. Have a good one, y'all.